Welcome to my kitchen. Steve here. Today we're getting close to summer, and summer is not summer without a hot dog. And I'm a big fan of hot dogs, but over the years it's been tough to find a good one. So I decided to start making my own, and I am very, very happy. This is what they look like. Now, we're not done yet. Tomorrow we're going to smoke them and then process them, bring them up to temperature. But the hot dogs I make, everyone loves them, so they must be a hit. So stay tuned, I'm going to show you how to make them. Let's get started with our seasonings here. So we're going to tear this out, and I need 3 grams of cure. Gotta be pretty accurate on this stuff. Right on 3. Perfect. Keep my cure in a mason jar. Lets it last for a long time. I'm just going to use the old hand method here. It's not science. Get rid of our scale. I'm going to go with 1 teaspoon of white pepper. That's about a teaspoon. 2 teaspoons of salt. Now we've got 1 kg of meat here. Okay, we need a 1/4 teaspoon of caraway seeds. Now, I'm just going to give them a light grind. Use my little coffee grinder here. Half teaspoon of garlic. Half teaspoon of onion powder. Half a teaspoon of paprika. I use some pretty good paprika too. Paprika is one of those wonderful flavored ground up peppers. You know, this one here I think is Hungarian. Yep. 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. And use some good fresh stuff. Don't use the stuff Grandma had when you were a little kid. Quarter teaspoon of allspice. Quarter teaspoon of chipotle. Let's give it a little bit of heat and some smoke. We don't want them too hot. You don't want your hot dogs to be too hot. Half teaspoon of some ground mustard. And that is it. We're going to mix this all up really, really well. Looks kind of brownish. It looks pretty good. So with hot dogs, we're going to kind of process it twice. First thing we're going to do, we're going to use the mixer here. We're going to mix everything up. And then we're going to use the food processor to emulsify it. Chop her up real good. We're going to add some really cold water to this, and I'm going to mix it up. There's probably half a cup in here, and we'll probably add just a little bit more. Never seem to get it all, but this saves a lot of work using your mixer. We're going to go until it's starting to look a little bit sticky. And every once in a while, just move it around. Okay, she's looking good. Now we're going to add the soy isolate to it, and basically for kg I'm going to add 20 grams. Now this just helps bind everything together, keep it all nice and tight. Ever since I started using that in my sausage, it's gotten a lot better. One day maybe I'm going to have one of those really nice mixers. That'd be nice. Okay, that should be pretty good. We're well mixed, and now we're going to run it through the food processor. Now in between time, we're going to actually put this back into the fridge to make sure it stays cold. Time to emulsify, grind this up really, really fine. Now, this takes a little bit of time. You got to be patient with this. Now I did it with the first time I did wieners. I had a little tiny one. I had to do it in about 4 different batches. And I find it works better if you can do it in about 2 batches. You can do it in 1, but it works better if you do half and half. That's about right. Now with this, we're going to add some crushed ice. We want to keep this really, really cold. So I've just got a bag of ice here. Not too sure how much is in there. Maybe 3/4 of a cup. I'm not going to add it all in there, of course, just some. Might not use it all. You can kind of see that it's still a little thick. I'm going to add just a little bit of water to that. And that's going to help us out a little bit. Not a whole bunch. Kind of want this to be almost like a mousse. Just going to give a little bit more. So we don't want this to heat up too much, so we're just going to add a little bit more ice. Not much. It's looking good. Alright, that's good enough. Now, it's still, there's still some pieces in there. You're not going to get it all mushed up like they do in the store-bought ones. You know, they got some pretty fancy equipment. But this works good. It's going to be better than just leaving it chunky. You won't even know. This is going to be perfect. Batch number 2. So you can see it's really ground up, kind of looks like a mousse. Smells like a hot dog already. Before we roll into the next step, into the fridge, want to keep it cold. You want to make sure that you rinse this really well. If you let this stuff dry up, you're in for a big job. So we're going to rinse this off, get the stuffer all set up, and we'll meet you over there. I like to add a little bit of, put a little bit of spray, non-stick on my gasket here so that it slips nice and easy. So for the hot dogs, you can use natural casing, but a natural casings, you have to get the cheap ones, they're pretty small, or else you're getting some fairly large ones. These ones here are 25 mil or 26 mil collagen. And what I do is I'll set this up on here, and I'm going to run just a little bit of water on there. Just separate them a little bit. It helps just a bit. So I'm going to go do that and be right back. Make sure you put it on your little spout there first before you add the water, or you can be sitting there for a long time putting that back on. Now hot dogs is going to test your patience. Now I've tried a couple different ways of tying it, but there's only one way that works. A little bit of butcher's twine. So you're going to have to cut yourself a bunch of these. I dip my hand in a little bit of water here. Helps keep the meat from sticking to your hands. Pretty sticky. Now when you're loading this, make sure you just do a little bit at a time so don't get any air in there. Some guys just slam it in there. My luck, I'd miss and hit the floor, but I guess that's all part and part when you're making wieners. You just crank this down and just get it coming out the end here. So we don't want any air. Okay, just coming out the end there now. Bring this in. Take out as much air as we possibly can, and we'll tie it off. You might think this is a lot of work, but in the end, you'll be going, okay, that's the best hot dog I ever had. Now we want these fairly full, so just give it a little bit of resistance here. And go really nice and slow. And go past the size of the hot dog that you want. My hot dog to be about that long. I'll give her a little spin. Now you could leave it like that, but I find that they just kind of come undone with this collagen. Hey, just keep going. just transfer these into a smaller container here. We're just going to cover them into the fridge overnight, and then tomorrow morning we'll throw some smoke on them and then process them. Morning. It's a pretty nice morning. Usually when we're out smoking it's raining or snowing or something. So I'm just going to add a nice little scoop of chips here. Now we are not going to smoke these hot dogs with a lot of heat or anything like that. I just want to have some smoke on. Alright, we'll let that get going. Bring out the hot dogs. Okay, I got everything smoking here. Now we just want to... Oh, I just got some in my nose. Let's go over here. That was a little bit strong. Okay, we're just going to let this smoke for about 10 minutes and leave the door open because I don't want to get it too hot. Oh, you can see it smoking away, looking good. So it's only been about 5 minutes, so we're just going to let the smoke continue here for a bit. Here's my setup. Now we're going to steam these. We need to bring these up to 160 degrees so that they're cooked. So I've got a pot of water here on a slow boil. I got a colander. So I can only get about 5 wieners in there, but it doesn't take very long to bring them up to temperature, like 7 minutes or something like that. So I have a probe. You gotta sacrifice one. Put a probe in them. And then I'll put about 4 in there. So I get about 5 hot dogs in there. Lid down and wait till they come up to 160. Now I've done this a couple different ways. I've tried it where I've used put them in a vacuum seal bag and then stuck them in some water that was at about 170 degrees. And I find that this plumps them up a little bit, makes them just better, and it's a lot faster. Okay, let's give it some time. Alright, we hit 161. Time to take them out. Now you can see how they plump way up. Got that little pinkish look to them. Oh yeah. Time for batch number 2. Now it looks like the last batch only took 5 minutes. So 5 or 6 minutes, and that's a pretty quick steam. Our hot dogs are done. And if you look at them, they're just absolutely wonderful. Now we're going to let these cool, then we can cut them and put them in the freezer, do whatever you want to do with them. Now, I used pork and beef 50-50. You can use whatever meat you want to use, but you got to make sure you got some fat in there. And the collagen casings, they're edible, so if you like a little bit of pop, you can leave them on, or once they're cool, you can just peel that stuff right off and it'll just be just like a regular hot dog. Mustard. Oh yeah, those are killer. They're easy, just have to be a little patient. Till next time.